y'all seen that episode of Seinfeld where every time Elaine and Jerry and George, they see each other, they're like, well, hello. I love that episode. My household has been binging Seinfeld hardcore for like the last 2 weeks. My dad, who's not a big TV watcher, has gone through probably about 100 episodes now in the last 3 weeks. And I myself have watched, at least 10. And man, such a good show. It's cool to watch a show that took place before the internet. Things were just different back then. People went to each other's houses to see if they were home. You'd have to call the landline and talk at home. You couldn't just call someone anywhere. I guess, maybe you could call them simpler times, but I really enjoy that show. I've seen them all a million times. But yeah, so today is December 22nd, Tuesday to be exact, and it's about 9:15 in the morning, and we're just getting started. Today was day 2 of the Flab to Ab challenge. Everything went fine. Sprung out of bed at 5 a.m. Did the Wim Hof breathing. This time I was able to hold my breath so the first round was 1.5 minutes, second round was 1 minute, and the third round was 2.5 minutes. And that's one of the longest ones I think I've had. And it's really cool, it's difficult to do. It's difficult to force myself to breathe that hard coming from a completely rested state. But afterwards, just feel really good, I feel loosened up, centered, if you will. Just a generally good feeling. And I still have to do some core exercises and some stretches and stuff today. Got to work on that 6-pack. Last night I hit the gym and just tore my legs up. I don't know if you've ever done squats before, but when you're going down and you can feel spots in your muscle that feel like you might pull a muscle if you keep going. Had some of that. Definitely got some sore legs today. Chest slightly sore, back slightly sore, so I think I did a good job. Today I wanted to talk about a book review. I've never done a book review. I want to talk about my favorite book, or maybe the most influential book is a better way to put it. The Millionaire, Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. This book undoubtedly 100% changed my life completely. I told the story of this book a few videos back, but to recap, my girlfriend at the time was out of the country for a few weeks. I was by myself, acting like a bachelor, played video games for 12 hours straight, and then had that feeling that often comes after 12 hours of straight video games, which was, man, I should probably do something with my life. So I went online, I Googled best book on success, and this one was on top of the list. So I downloaded it illegally, sorry MJ, and read it in 3 days, which was very fast for me. I wasn't a big reader at the time. And as soon as I finished the last page, I just started sweating. I had a panic attack. I thought, what the hell am I gonna do? So back up a little bit. What is this book about? The Millionaire Fastlane, crack the code to wealth and live rich for a lifetime. Pretty clickbaity title. But really, this book is about the story of MJ DeMarco when he was a young man in his 20s. He was in the limo business, and he really just hated what he was doing. He just felt like he wasn't getting anywhere, that he would never be able to get anywhere with this kind of job, with the amount of money he was making. And he overheard some of his passengers talking about how difficult it was to find a limo when they land in a new area and yada yada. So he thought, maybe I can create a website that helps people get limos. And thus limos.com was born. Now this was back in the beginning of the internet when you could still buy a domain like limos.com. He made a website, he made a successful business out of it. He sold it for, I think, some millions. The people that bought it ran it into the ground, so he bought it back, blew it up again, sold it again for a lot more. And he's the kind of guy that likes to come up with his own methodologies for things. You know, he thinks through things at like the root principles and tries to build these mental maps of things so that he can explain them in his book, and he does a really good job of that. And he defines a certain type of business as being fast lane. So there's 3 types of people. There's slow laners, or no, there's sidewalkers, slow laners, fast laners. A sidewalker is someone that spends more money than they make. They're in tons of debt. If they found $1,000 on the sidewalk today, they would spend $1,000 today and be broke again. They live in perpetual brokenness and they just can't get out of it. A slow laner is somebody who works a normal job. They save money throughout their life with the hope and intention of retiring someday and having enough to pay for that retirement. So delaying gratification until late in life. And then there's a fast laner. A fast laner is someone who figures out how to earn income independently from their time. So sidewalkers and slow laners trade their time for money. They work for a wage. And the problem with that is you're limited to the amount of hours you can work in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. If I'm making $50 an hour and I'm working 8 hours a day, I'm making $400 a day. I can't, maybe I can squeeze out another hour or two and turn that into $500 a day, but that's pretty much, I'm capped out there. Even if I could work 24 hours a day, I'm still capped out on that amount of income. Whereas if I own a business that is able to leverage either technology or other people's time or a bunch of other things, basically earn income independent of my own time, then the amount I can make in a day goes up exponentially. It's infinite, really. So if I can have 10 people working for me and make $10 an hour per person, now I'm making $100 an hour throughout the day. So it's just a different way of thinking about things. And for me, being an average person working an average job, I was a carpenter at the time, I hadn't ever been exposed to ideas like this. I just thought that working for a wage was the only way to go, and that was just all there was for me. Reading this book, The Millionaire Fastlane, made me realize that that is not all that there was for me, that there are ways for anybody, a person just like me, not too bright, no money, just basically starting from scratch. There's a way for people like me to build a business that can leverage systems that can allow me to make more money than I could working for a wage. And so flashback forward to when I closed the last page of this book, I had a panic attack. I thought, now that I know there's another way, what am I going to do? I have to do something. There's no going back. It's like that scene in The Matrix where you can take the blue pill or the red pill. I took the red pill, man. My mind was open. I couldn't go back to not knowing this stuff. And so I had to find a way. And for a book to be able to produce that kind of experience is really special. And that's why I've since purchased this book for every young person in my family. I've also purchased his second book, which I'll talk about at another time, and given it to everybody. It's like 12 or 14 people have got this book from me, and only one of them has read it. And you can tell he's starting his own things. He's got bigger dreams and plans than everyone else. Everyone else is just working a job they hate, doesn't see any way out of it, and just accepts that. But the one that read this book really, you can just tell the difference. So, should you read this book? I think everybody should read this book. I certainly know that most people won't, and you know, it's really your loss. Crack the code to wealth. It really is that. And even if you don't change anything about your life, having this information and this knowledge will affect everything else you do. It's totally okay to have a job, to work for a wage, but you can still make smart decisions that will end up paying dividends in the future. I would say the biggest change for me has been what I spend my time and put my focus on. My favorite activities to do are things that are going to pay back in the future without me having to input anymore. A perfect example is like a blog post I wrote a few years ago. This blog post has brought in dozens of clients for me at this point. It's like a money-making machine. And so I like building things like that are going to come back around and pay me in the future. So yeah, that's the Millionaire Fastlane. I can't recommend it enough. What does it say here? It says $23, but I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon for like 15 bucks. You can get it on Audible. He reads it. So it's always nice when an author reads their own book. I don't really like listening to books when someone else reads it. I want to hear it from the author, at least if it's nonfiction. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, you know? So he reads this book, tells his story, and it truly is a great story. And the ideas that he puts forth have spawned a whole following of people that follow these methodologies and build really great businesses. MJ also started a forum online called the Fastlane Forum, where there's tens of thousands of people that all share similar mindset, or at least they want to. They want to better themselves. They want to earn more money. They want to leverage other things so that they can earn more without having to sacrifice all of their time. You know, it's a shame if you work your whole life and you sacrifice so much time to hopefully have fun later. It should be the other way around. You should just have fun now in your life. You can have your cake and eat it too in most cases. So anyways, without dragging this on any further, Millionaire Fastlane, check it out. Be grateful that I told you about this, because this book could probably change your life. And you know, if there's someone else in your life that you think could use a little mind switch, who's in kind of a rut, or who is stuck in a dead-end career, or maybe they just lost their job. Tons of people just lost their job. Perfect time to read this and figure out how to get the power back in your hands and change your own life. So do something nice for them, get them this book, or at least tell them about it, and I'll see you tomorrow.